Hi, I'm Molly McCarthy. I'm the principal of Riddle Brook School, and I'm here with 5 teachers, each representing a grade level at our school. They are, to my left, we have Amy Mosqua, who teaches 4th grade. We have Wendy San Clemente, teaches kindergarten. To my right, we have Ann Colmer, who teaches 3rd grade, Kate Dufour, who teaches 1st grade, and Kim Blaine, who teaches 2nd grade. We're here today to answer some questions and provide some feedback based on the Parent Tripod Engagement Survey that's been given to our school district over the last 2 years. There are some topics that have been highlighted, and we're going to cover those topics today. Just as an overview, the topics are homework, communication, how parents can be involved in their child's education, and stress and anxiety. So hopefully we'll offer some helpful tips and tricks for parents and have parents understand kind of the school's perspective on those topics. So we are going to begin, ladies. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. First question. In each grade, our students are assigned some level of homework. How can parents help their child with homework?
So I'll start. In kindergarten, we do have homework at Riddle Brook School. It is not mandatory. Homework is a choice by parents, but it is highly recommended by us kindergarten teachers because we have such a short school day and we like to have some repetition in the skills that we are learning in kindergarten. So what we request is that when a parent is doing the homework with the child, you're at least present in the room with them, if not sitting directly next to them, to monitor what they're doing because we want them to be doing it correctly and have you observe. It's to practice a skill that we've gone over, so if they're doing it independently and you're not aware of what they're doing and they're doing it incorrectly, it's not necessarily helping. So this should not be a stressor for children. This should take less than 5 minutes, and if it becomes too much, we say don't do it at all. Write a little note for us to know that it was really difficult, or it was just a bad night, or you had soccer, or whatever the reason is, but it really is just to reinforce skills, so we highly recommend that it is done.
I can go all the way to the other fourth grade, so you can get both ends of the spectrum. But every 4th grade teacher gives some sort of homework every night. The trick, I think, is some of it is unwritten. It might be paperwork that you don't have to pass in, but it doesn't mean that it's not still homework. So practicing your math facts or reading or preparing for your spelling test is still homework, even though there's not a paper to pass in each night.
Pretty similar for 1st grade too, and I'm sure 2nd. In 1st grade, they may have a couple of paper and pencil tasks per week, which, just like kindergarten, really is to show the parents what we're working on. But every single night we hope that they're reading to their parents or having their parents read to them, maybe practicing those math facts in 1st grade too. Still really helpful.
I think 2nd grade is kind of right in the middle too of the K1, the 3-4, where there is still homework every night. We want you to help them if you feel that they need help. But if they're failing and they're not doing well, let them. It's okay. We kind of want to know where the breakdown is so we know where to help them when they come back to school. It's also important to remember that homework shouldn't be stressful for anybody. It shouldn't be stressful for you. It shouldn't be stressful for your child. So nobody should be crying. We don't want the kids crying. We don't want the parents crying. If it gets to that point, we stop. Just stop. Put a note on it. I know that some kids are sensitive. They don't want you to write on their paper. They don't want you to touch their things. Send us an email. Here's what happened. We'll take care of it. It's okay. Nobody should be crying over homework ever.
And a lot of the homework, it's the redirecting. It's being able to sit with them, reread the directions with them, encourage them. Helping them with homework is not doing the homework. It is simply making sure they've had a chance to read the directions and see if they understand. And as was said before, it's not meant to be stressful. So a quick email or a jot on the note is perfect. And let us know right away rather than later. We're always quick to say, okay, you get a note from a parent, you are going to respond. We will respond and have a moment with the child to make sure we can answer any clarifying questions to help them the next day.
Yeah, and I think just another little piece of helpful advice would be, no matter what the grade level, is just to make sure that you have a spot for them in the home, materials, so when they get there, they're ready to go. Little snack before they start, just something to help make the time a little more positive. Also, just one follow-up question to teachers. So homework, the time of homework differs from grade level to grade level, right? So, and I think we've always used a kind of a relative scale of 10 minutes per grade level. Obviously, that's dependent upon the child, right? But what would you say maybe the minimum and maximum time would be at your particular grade level? And we start with 4th grade.
So we do assign, I think all of us are pretty good at, we stick to the 40 minutes. We try to have, maybe math facts for 10 minutes, practice spelling for 10 minutes, and read for 20. But we all stick to that 40-minute. But going back to what Kim said, if 40 minutes is too long for your child on that day, then that day was 30 minutes for you.
Right. Yeah. It's just a rough guide, right? Yeah.
In kindergarten, what I would say is we send home a weekly homework. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It should take 5 minutes. But if you leave it all until Thursday and then you have 4 days to do, it's going to be more stressful. And also, if you do it all on Monday and do all 4 days in a row on Monday, I may not have taught the skill yet. So you may be going ahead and they may not be doing the best work on something because it hasn't technically been taught in class yet. But it should be 5 minutes a night.
Yeah.
I know that the schedules of all the different families vary, and there's a lot going on in different families. So certain nights are busier than others. So I know a lot of us in 3rd grade will give homework on a Monday that says these are due on Friday. Vocabulary and spelling that you can do throughout the week. Math is daily, so it is an evening assignment, but you can decide, you know what, you have all these sentences due Friday. Let's work on them on Monday because we don't have hockey or baseball, and it gives you an opportunity as a family to decide how to break up the work during the week.
Yeah, that's super helpful, and pretty similar in 1st grade too. If I assign it on Tuesday, but Tuesday is lacrosse night, then send it in on Thursday. That's okay. We expect about 10 to 15 minutes of homework on those nights where we do ask for paper and pencil tasks back to school the next day, and that may be in addition to or on instead of reading. But what we like to make sure we say is that not just having your child read to you now that in 1st grade they're starting to learn to read, it's still super important that you read to your child. I don't know that I would tack those minutes on. I think that's important to do every day, but I would say no more than 10 to 15 minutes in 1st.
Okay.
And I think we're right in line in 2nd grade, just about 20 minutes to do. There's usually a little bit of paper pencil. Some of it, like we said before, isn't a worksheet that needs to get passed back. Those math facts, addition and subtraction math facts in 2nd grade are very important. I do know that some parents want to study math facts for 10 or 15 minutes in a row. And really, best research shows us that kids learn best in small doses over a long period of time. So if you are going to study those math facts, it really is best to study maybe for 3 to 5 minutes every single night, instead of cramming them all in 10 or 15 minutes in one night. You're really going to do them better in the long run.
Right. You build that automaticity.
Absolutely.
If you do it.
Yep, and just keep reading to them and with them. We were talking earlier before we started, and we said one of really the best gifts that we can give kids is a love of reading and a love of literature, and that we rely on you to help us with that.
Yeah.
Could I ask one thing though about homework is what I would want to let parents know is for you to know that there is homework is to look in, for 4th graders, it's to look in their agenda every day because they write their homework assignments in their agenda every single morning. So if you're unsure about what they have for homework each day, check the agenda. I know 3rd grade uses the agenda, but I'm not sure how the younger grades know.
Is it on your blogs or do you a folder?
We use a folder. We use a return to school side, so if it's in the return to school, try to jot on there that it's homework. So
Yeah, folder.
Very similar. There's a folder. There's a side for corrected papers, a side for homework.
Side for note or
Side
put
for, yeah,
notes and things
where you
like
put
that, too.
things. And I know a lot of 2nd grade teachers, try to do it. So every Monday night it's this, every Tuesday is this. So if they've organized it that way, there's a lot of them that do that.
Kindergarten comes home in their take-home folder on Monday and is left in there and taken out on Friday.
Yeah, good. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the next question. So, as a classroom teacher, what information can you share that would help parents or guardians better understand the role they should play in their child's education, just generally?
Well, in 1st grade, it's a huge change from maybe half-day kindergarten to full-day 1st grade. We also have some kids coming from outside places, so it's an adjustment year, and something really helpful that parents can do to help their kids when they're developing this independence in 1st grade is to give them those opportunities to learn to do things for themselves, even at home. And it's something we're really working on in first grade at school as well, but let them zip their coat. It might take an extra couple minutes, but it's really important that they can do it themselves. And then academically, in first grade, the teachers try to be very consistently communicating what we're working on. And so just being abreast of what we're working on in class so that you can engage with your kids, talk about what we're doing in class, maybe practice the words a little bit. All those things will kind of keep you engaged in what's going on in your child's school life.
Right, right.
To piggyback off that, in kindergarten, we also like them to start to learn a little responsibility, but it can't all be put on them yet. So what we are hoping for is that, yes, you can have your child pack their snack, but just make sure they pack their snack. Get their boots ready for school for a snow day. Check and make sure they have their boots ready. Make sure their library book is there, because that's enough to set the entire day off. If their library book is not in on the library day, on gym day, make sure they have their sneakers. Eventually you're going to want to wean off and let them start taking on more of this responsibility themselves, but kindergarten isn't that time. They can't be responsible for all of this. So just let them have the job, let them do it, and just double check and make sure it has been done.
I think that's a great one with reminding versus doing, because as a third grade teacher, we often hear, my dad forgot to put my homework in. My mom forgot to pack my lunch. And by reminding them, they start putting it on themselves as well. And no longer are you getting thrown under the bus and being the responsible one for all of their choices and their work being put in their backpacks.
What about maybe things that parents can do to support the classroom? Are there opportunities for parents to come in and be part of their child's, maybe not day to day, but just some opportunities in the classroom to be a part of their child's education within the school?
Yeah.
So we've talked about things outside of the school and help building up responsibility, which is that's wonderful, and kids need to be able to do that. But also, I think parents are looking for opportunities to participate in their kids' classroom. Is there things that? How does it work?
I think there's lots of ways. I think the PTG does a nice job of soliciting and getting volunteers and being part of the PTG volunteer program. But there's also ways to volunteer in your own child's classroom. Different teachers have different levels of needs as far as parents coming in, but there are parents who come in and help with math facts. There's parents who come in and help to read. Lots of parents come in just to help to do copies and organize things. There's always parties that we need people to come in, field trips, things to volunteer for. The best two places I would say to look for volunteer opportunities would be checking our blogs, because I know if I need help, I'm going to send an email and I'm going to put it on my blog. And also check with the PTG, because there's lots of school-wide opportunities for parents to come in and help too.
Formal opportunities, like the It's a Gas and I'm trying to think of
Orc. It's a gas. Yeah.
Another thing I would say that would be helpful, having a lot of parents come in for parties in kindergarten is great, but we usually do two big events during the year, one of them being at Thanksgiving and one of them being during Recognition Day. So I think getting those dates out early and then having parents put it in their calendars early so you're not going to run into a conflict, because there are a couple of major things that you definitely don't want to miss out for your children. So the sooner you know this and can make whatever arrangements are necessary for you to be part of it, I would say try to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that we missed? I mean, some of you talked about responsibilities, but maybe Amy, did you have anything in fourth grade in terms of?
Well, it was Wendy is saying, at the beginning they can't be responsible. They're 5 years old. They have to have you help them with their boots and their backpack. By the time they get to fourth grade, we are really putting a lot of responsibility on them and letting them. I think we'll talk about this later too, kind of, but it's connected.
Yeah. I know what you're going to say. Yes.
Can I go?
Go ahead.
Okay. Is that if your fourth grader or your third grader or your second, if they forget their library book, what we're trying to teach them in fourth grade is that the logical consequence to that is that you can't take a library book out today. You can bring your library book in tomorrow, and Miss Ferns will happily let you pick out a book at recess. If you forget your morning snack, you're going to have lunch in an hour and a half, and then you're going to have your PM snack. So kind of instilling in the older kids, prepping them for McCalvy that they need to start being responsible for these things. And I know, Anne, you talked about that too. It's not mom or dad's job to do it.
Right.
You can certainly say, did you remember your sneakers today? But you don't have to physically go and look in the backpack by 4th grade.
Right. One other question, so because the question is about how can parents be involved in their kids' education. So in terms of our program, so we have Wonders, and right now we have Everyday Math, and that's going to switch a little bit. That's going to switch next year. Are there resources that you send home or that you have links to that so they can maybe become more familiar with terminology, skills, that type of thing?
The Everyday Math.
Everyday Math has
Family
home links
letters.
that go home. I do know from time to time, I know that when I start to teach addition with regrouping, partial sums, parents aren't a fan. That's not how they learn how to do their addition. So some of us will often send home like a little video. This is how I do it. Here's the language that I use when I'm teaching this kind of math, so that parents can do the same at home, use the same vocabulary, use the same language, follow the same steps. So our blogs are the best place to look. We talked about that when we were discussing this earlier, the lines are always check the blog. If something's really important, we're going to send an email. So it's important to read them. And Molly's notes every week. Those 3 things keep parents well informed. And we do in our own, try this at home, do this at home.
Right, right. I think sometimes the language that kids come home with is confusing to parents, and so those types of resources I think are helpful for parents to be able to be involved in talking to their children about their school day, right?
And even using the Riddle Brook website.
Yeah.
You know, your
can look
kids
at our
are all familiar with Clever. I think. I say all.
Yeah.
I don't know. Almost all.
Yeah.
But they know how to access websites that we use from the Clever homepage and being familiar with helping them log on to things so that they can access resources from home that then the parents could use as a support.
Right, right.
Your 99 number.
Right,
At
right,
bedford.hk12.net.
Yeah, it's important. They're going to need that till they graduate. Right, yeah, yeah.
And in kindergarten, in the blogger that we put, we don't have links to the Wonders program, but we list what we do every week. So if you're reading that, you will see exactly what we do. I list questions. Ask your child this. Ask your child that. Ask your child about what was their favorite animal we discovered in Antarctica, or whatever it happens to be. And you will get the language that you need when you say, what did you do? And they say, I don't know, nothing. You have the exact questions. And they go, oh, I remember when we did that. So it's a great way to engage with them about what we're doing.
Good. All right, we ready to go on to the next question? All right. I'll take your silence as a yes.
Can I say
Yeah,
one more
go
thing?
ahead. Yeah.
The whole thing about partnering with us, because if there's not something on the blog or you have a question, we really want to be partners with the parents. It's such a huge thing for the kids to see us as a united front.
Yeah.
And so if you don't feel that, or if you have a question, please shoot an email and ask it so it doesn't fester, because the language you use with your children about us and what we do with you, it's so important that they see that we are all in this for their best.
Yeah.
So if you ever have a question, especially your role is to engage with your kids, and then if you have any questions, to seek an answer, because we'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And your kids look up to
All of
both of
us.
us. Your child looks up to their teacher, and they look up to you. So we need to kind of model what a healthy teacher-parent relationship look like, and what does this mutual respect look like.
Right.
So that's where we can show that partnership.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it leads into our next question, which is, our goal is to maintain frequent and quality communication throughout the school year. What are some ways in which this can be accomplished, and can you please talk about when and how you would reach out to parents? And I think there are 2 parts to this question. One is kind of general communication, so let's talk about that, just how you generally communicate, and then why don't we get into maybe more issue-based communication if there's a problem, or if it's even good news to share, or something very specific to their child.
I think about like a communication triangle, like that Maslow's triangle of the hierarchy of communication.
Yeah.
The first thing would always be our blog. That's where you're going to find any information that you need about upcoming events. And I try to think of the blog as if I need you to know something, within the next couple of days or the next week. And then it kind of progresses to an email. If I need you to know something today, I'm going to send you an email. and if I need to talk to you at 2:30, I'm going to call you. So there's kind of levels of communication, but we all work really hard at our blog and making sure that we can provide as much resource for parents as possible. So that's your first stop.
Yeah. So let's talk about the blog for a second. So the blog is on our school's website. So first you would go to sau25.net, and then there's a school tab, and you would go down to Riddle Brook. And then within there's a staff directory, and then each grade level has a link. And within that link is each teacher's blog. So that's many steps, but it's pretty intuitive once you get onto our website. So just so parents know where to find it.
There's a
Click
nice
on the
easy,
grade level, not the picture.
Yeah,
Or you're
click
going
on
to
the
get
picture, you're going to get a
picture
right,
of the team.
A nice easy way too, though, is if you have any emails from your teacher. I think almost all of us at Riddle Brook,
The link.
right underneath where it would say, "Oh, fondly, Kim Blaine," right under there, click here to visit my blog.
Yeah.
Click right there. You don't have to go through all those steps. You're right at the blog.
Excellent idea, and I don't have that in my signature.
You really should.
I should.
Get on
I
that, man.
should. I'm getting on that. I'm going to get on that.
Well, and just as a reminder, on Fridays I sent out the blog has been updated. Click below. And it's just right there for parents to click on.
Yeah. All right, so kind of back to general communication. Can each of you talk a little bit about how Amy did it, how you would communicate generally to the parents in your class?
So again, for the weekly, it would be the blog. General information, I would send an email. If you have a general question to me, respond to me with an email. I will get to it as soon as I can. If it is something about a change in transportation or something that needs immediate help, please call the office because we are busy with the kids. We do not get to check our emails throughout the day regularly. So if it's something like they are taking a different bus home, they are riding with a friend, a different person is picking up the child, that needs to be a call to the office, and then the office will relay that information to us.
So this is a time out.
Yes.
Yeah, this is really important because it happens at every grade level with every teacher. Please do not email the teacher if your child has different pickup information. You've got to call the office because a teacher could be absent, a teacher could have a non-special day and they don't check their emails until after school, and a child could go to the wrong spot. So always a great rule, even if you email the teacher, carbon copy the 2 secretaries, or email the teacher and also call the front office so we know where to put your child at the end of the day. Okay.
And one other thing I would say too is a lot of times, whether it's from us or whether it's from the school in general, there are some paper copies that are in their folders that go home for information, whether it's about the school dance or about something. Please go through the folders every night. Empty out the papers and see what's in there. Talk about them with your child. But if it's sitting there for a week, then you don't have the information that we're all assuming you have. So that's really helpful.
Right. Okay. Anything different in 3rd grade?
I was just thinking the same thing with emails, blogs, and phone call, but I'll look sometimes on my blog and it will have 0 visits. So I always kind of wonder, you put things out, you put some pictures out there of things that have happened and you wonder who has visited that site.
Yeah.
So it is really important to check that. Also, a quick call if in fact you have something that you're really concerned about or you want an answer, you can call, because we find that a quick question or a quick conversation can relieve the stress that you have if a child has on a homework or something that we can fix. We do respond to those things, whether it's with a quick email or a phone call too.
Yeah.
We do have, I know Debbie Rod works so hard too on updating our Facebook
All our
page
social
or
media.
our Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's another good resource for people to look at for things they need. Like,
Right. Any of our flyers tend to get posted up there. Is that what you're
Spirit
talking
Day.
about?
Yeah, I was thinking, right, she posted Spirit Day the
those
day
kinds of
before,
things.
so we knew to wear our holiday outfits. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. How about 1st grade, Kate?
Pretty similar in 1st grade. We have the blog, the email, phone calls a little bit more rarely, but I rely pretty heavily on folder communication too. Any of those changes for after school, if they can happen before school, usually they come in the child's folder. So then I can just forward those right to the office. That's where you can find homework coming home and finished work that maybe we went over together. You might want to see what we fixed and how we're doing. Checking those folders is really important. And we do religiously update our blogs, and that's the fun stuff. So this is what we're doing. We want you to know. We want you to see the pictures. We want to engage with you in this way. So the blog is really, I think we've mentioned it.
Yeah.
It's really a big one.
Ditto.
I think it's the same.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we talk maybe, and just a reminder to parents that these people are all representing their grade levels. So it's not just this is how Mrs. Blaine only does it. It's this is how second grade, first grade, third grade, kindergarten, fourth grade. They've talked to their teammates, and so just so you know, this is a general. This is general information for their grade level. So why don't we talk about kind of issue-specific communication and how you envision it working at your particular grade levels? Want to start, Amy?
I think issue-specific, if there is a sensitive subject that we want to talk to, whether your child had a rough day or something didn't go as planned during that day, we're most likely going to make a phone call for you, realizing that our emotions and how we're feeling and how we look does not translate in an email or, well, we wouldn't put it on the blog. Right? No, we wouldn't put no information on the blog. But, you know, we want to have a conversation with you so you can hear in our voice that we're concerned. We want what's best for your child. There's our partnership role again, because, and I would say the same thing if something happens at home that we need to know about. If you could drop us a line, a phone call, it's more personal. We feel like it's more, if there's this kind of sensitive nature, we need to hear each other.
That's an important part too. I think sometimes parents think what happens at home doesn't maybe impact what's going on at school, and it does. And so even if you don't think it's real important, if something happened, just an email, a phone call, something to let the teacher know, just FYI, this is what's going on, just so we have a heads up and be a little extra sensitive with the students. We know what to look for.
Or if things are changing, if you're on vacation, if dad is traveling, if the grandparents are in charge, any kind of everyday routine that's going to be off, if we know about it, then we can just know, okay, they seem a little off, this is why. Or maybe someone needs an extra little hug or an extra little backpack, you know, mom's traveling and they
just need something,
they need a little extra.
Yeah. Okay, so back to issue-specific things.
I think if your child's telling you any information at home that you feel that we need to hear about, you know, they've had a problem with someone on the playground, this person's not their best friend anymore, and they're really sad about it. I mean, even if it's not going to be an earth-shaking, just relay that to us so then we can know to take them aside and talk to them about whatever the issue is, try to get to the bottom of it. If it is a concern of yours, like I always say, take information with a grain of salt and let us get to the bottom of it too, because you're getting one side, one version of whatever.
Their perspective. It's
exactly.
The children's perspective.
They're really feeling this way,
Right.
and someone else is probably really feeling a different way, and we just need to
figure out
what everyone is feeling.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think?
I
Same?
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And you said sensitive. A pet passes away or a relative is sick. They will come and talk about it too. And so it's nice to know that we know and that we can offer that special little moment for them too, and give them the opportunity to share and be sad and to talk about it too.
Right. Okay. I would assume same. That you're not going to send an email. You're going to call. You're going to. Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is, that's how I would communicate, but how I want parents to communicate. If it seems big or small, just let me know, and we can kind of decide together if it's big or small. And if I am communicating something positive, or like you said, sometimes something didn't go as planned, I just want to convey that we all are only doing that for the best interest of the child. So this didn't go well. Here's how we, as a team, can make it go better tomorrow. So that's why we like to stay in touch. It's not just to say, guess what your child did. It's all in the name of progress.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Good point. Anything else? You're good. Okay. All right. So next question, and this is a little bit of a tricky one, but there's several parts to it, but we'll get through each part. More and more, we're hearing about, reading about, and experiencing students with varying levels of stress and anxiety. So from a teacher's perspective, what should parents know about the process of identifying, addressing, and preventing, and this is the important part, non-developmentally appropriate stress and anxiety? So there's developmentally appropriate stress and anxiety, and let's list a few of those things, and then there's non-developmentally appropriate stress and anxiety. So, you want to start, Kim?
Yeah, I do. I think it's important too to remember that some stress and anxiety with little kids is good. They should feel a little nervous sometimes or a little uneasy about things. that's okay. If we take it all away from them, they never learn how to cope. They never learn coping skills. So if there is a spelling test on Friday and they're feeling nervous and uncomfortable, help them study a little bit the night before, give them a little pep talk before they go. Hey, do your best. That's all you can do, and it'll be okay. And I just had this conversation with 2 students the other day. They were doing an activity, and this one was really having a hard time. I don't like this. I don't like this. I said, no, I know you don't like it. It's hard for you. And I think sometimes with the very, very bright kids, those kids who read early, who things came very easy for, 2nd grade, specifically 3rd grade when I taught 3rd grade, it's the first time some of these kids are coming up with something that's difficult for them. They haven't had to work hard. And I said to this kid, I'm wondering if maybe this is the first time something's been very hard for you at school. And he said, yeah, it is. I said, so that feeling that you feel inside of you is normal, and you should feel that because it means you're learning and you're trying really, really hard. So I want you to push through that feeling, because on the other side, there's going to be a lot of pride, and just wait to see how you feel. And he kept going and kept going, and he ran across that room. I did it. And he truly was so happy. Yeah. So I think we need to let them feel uneasy, and we need to let them feel a little bit uncomfortable so that they understand, oh, it's not there forever.
Right.
It'll go away.
Yeah, it feels good to.
It feels good
to
to go through it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important, that we can't take away every little bad feeling that they have.
Right. And so why don't we talk just a couple of minutes about what are some of those developmentally appropriate causes of stress and anxiety? So spelling test, math test, sometimes there are peer issues, right?
My
So
friend didn't want to play
my best
with me
friend
today.
is right. And so I think the same logic applies, that we give them a pep talk. We acknowledge that they're that's hard. That's hard. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to get through it?
Right.
That kind of thing. Any other examples you guys can think of?
Well, sometimes they come to our grade and they break a pencil and they don't know what to do. They'll say things like, my pencil broke.
What should I do?
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. And so you realize we really need to allow them to make mistakes, learn from them,
Right.
and move
And
on.
to get some autonomy too, in sitting there with my pencil is broken. Well, okay, let's make a decision here.
Problem. Sharpen it.
All right. Or are we going to just wait it out?
Right.
So starting to have them identify those things and making some decisions
Yes.
for themselves.
Yeah.
I need to do this. This happened. I need to do that next. Is just part of helping them to recognize that sometimes there's little discomfort of even, I don't know how to raise my hand to ask if I can sharpen my pencil, that feelings of discomfort is feelings of growth.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what it feels like to grow.
Right. Yeah, to get through things. Anything else before we move on?
I mean,
to
the biggest stressor I would say in kindergarten is, I miss my mom and dad.
Yeah,
I'm nervous about getting on the bus, those types of things. And the piece of advice I would give is parents, be brave for your children. If they see you really getting worked up and being nervous, letting them get on the bus, or you're breaking up when they're heading off to school because you don't want them to go, then they're carrying that with them. So if you just put on a brave face and you're going to be fine, it's going to be awesome, you're going to love that bus ride, then they're going to go, okay, it's going to be fine, I'm going to love that bus ride.
Right. Power of suggestion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Your
also the
language.
terminology sometimes that you're using. If you're saying, are you anxious to a child? They go, well, I wasn't, but now it's a very big word, and now I'm feeling
I think
anxious.
as parents, we plant seeds without realizing we're planting those seeds. Yeah.
Are you stressed?
Are you stressed?
I guess I am.
I am.
I am. I might be.
I am now.
You say I am. I guess I am.
Yeah. But we also recognize that there are children that come to us with actual stress, diagnosed anxiety, right? And so can we talk a little bit about how we recognize that and kind of deal with that when they come to school? And I'm going to start, actually, if you don't mind. The first step, parents, is getting them into school. We don't want to create school-phobic kids, right? And so the more you can bring them in, kind of get past that fighting to get out of the car and so forth, and get them on our doorstep, we will take it from there. And many, many, many times, once they're on our doorstep, things are going well. We can get them into class, we can make sure they have a good day, and we can communicate that to you. But having them miss school because they don't want to come to school is actually doing them a real disservice. So get them on our doorsteps, and we will take it from there. Anything else that you
That
guys?
just goes along with not letting them avoid uncomfortable situations, because then that becomes learned. If I avoid this uncomfortable situation, then it will continue to be an uncomfortable situation. You don't get to do the growth, that powerful growth we
Right.
talked about, if you always avoid the discomfort.
Right.
So, and you mentioned something too, the size of the problem. So short of actual panicking, right? There are situations in school where, especially little kids, first graders, might overreact. The pencil, for example. So we do a lot of talking about what's the size of this problem? Is this a big problem or is this a small problem? And then if it's a small problem, how should our reaction look?
Right.
If it's a small problem, should we be,
Right.
sobbing, or could we maybe take a deep breath and talk it out?
Yeah, and so we actually talk about Kelso, right? And Kelso's choices. So little problems are things you can solve on your own, and then big problems, you need an adult to help you. And so using that language, I think that's helpful for parents too, to be able to use that type of language when they're processing with their own children at home.
And we do try to teach them strategies in school to help themselves. We talk about the zones of regulation, and that there's different zones that kids can be in.
Right.
Green zone's kind of your optimal, everything's going great. And then what are the strategies that we can teach them to work their other zones when they get in them? So we do a lot of, there's some deep breathing you can do, or little activities you can do, the lazy 8 and different things, and that we practice as a class. And we practice a lot of these strategies when they are in a good zone. You practice, and you make them kind of second nature, hoping that when they do get into the yellow or the red zone, they can then remember to go, how am I going to help myself get back? Or with a reminder, what could you do to help yourself?
Right.
That's a really good point, because when they're in the middle of feeling like it's a big problem is not the best time.
That's really not the time to introduce a new strategy.
Yeah. Like you said, practice when they're in the green
When
zone.
they're in the green zone. Just really quickly, can you talk about, maybe list the zones and where parents, so we won't go into it, but where they could maybe find it.
So that is language we use, and I think it's K4 as far as the zones go. You have your blue zone, where you're kind of feeling very tired or very sad, very down, low energy.
Low energy, yeah.
Right? Then green zone's kind of that optimal zone. Everything's going good. It's the best zone for learning. Yellow zone is you're very excited. It can be both, right? You can be excited, getting angry excited, or you're just really excited because, I don't know, you have a little cupcake for snack today, and you're very excited about that. Red zone is real excitement. So you're either over the top with your behavior and being angry, or really, really happy and excited. It's generally anger we see more. And we try to teach them too. Every zone's okay. All of those feelings are good. All of those feelings are okay. How do you work that zone? What are you going to do while you're in that zone? And those are the strategies we teach them, hoping that can get them back to green.
And we start to teach them to recognize the transition.
Yes,
From
how am I
zone
feeling?
to zone.
And I'll model
my
it.
body physically feel like when I'm going from green to yellow, or from yellow to red.
And all that, luckily, we have a nice link on our
Counselor's Corner.
Counselor's Corner, right? Click on that. There's everything about Kelso, the zones, positive growth mindset, positive self-talk. Everything on there we do try to kind of incorporate throughout our day.
Yeah.
So it's language that the kids are hearing, K4 in our school.
Yeah, okay.
Also, I was just going to throw out there about rechargers. We do a lot of recharges, whether it's a go noodle or just some type of movement, or if you look around the building, there are different exercises and things taped up that sometimes talking it out isn't going to necessarily do it. You have to physically be moving your body and just get those wiggles out. And so we do also use those.
Change zones, yeah. All right, so we only have a couple of minutes here. So we're going to go through these relatively quickly, all right? So if you want to chime in on something, just go ahead. But these parents are the top 10 things, maybe not related to the 4 questions that we just asked, but just the top 10 things that we would like parents to know. So number 1, and we've already said this, please check our blogs. So please check our blogs. We already said this too, but get your kids in the door, unless they're sick. If they're sick, they really do need to stay home. We won't get into why, but you know why, right? They're contagious, they need their rest. It's just not great for anybody. And I think, Kate, you mentioned number 3, we communicate with you not to judge you, but to support you and your child, right? I know sometimes when we call, parents automatically think, oh, it just it's a negative interaction, but it shouldn't be, and that's not why we're calling.
Can I say one thing? Because Kim, you said it before. that we're a resource for you as well.
Absolutely.
And you talked
Right.
about some of our parents need our support as well, and,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's for you too.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
want that.
Right.
We want that.
And if you're having a hard time with your kid about something at home and you want to call us and bounce something off,
yeah,
do it.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy
we know your
to
kids
help
pretty
you.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Organization routines are important. That sets them up for success. I think you talked about that. We also talked about let your child fail a little bit. Leave their boots at home, their library book, their forgotten homework. It is okay. It is okay. There's no problem so big that we can't solve it together. Mistakes are opportunities. This one I want to talk about just for a second. Be mindful of the words you choose. So sometimes we get into this language that kind of in our vernacular, but things like bullying. Bullying is a legal term, right? So sometimes you might call and say to Mr. Munsey or to me, so-and-so is bullying my child, when it's really just an interaction that might be not so pleasant between your child and another child. And so when you use those terms, your kids use those terms. And so we just want people to be aware of maybe using the correct kind of terms. And there was something else I think we had talked about. Anxiety. Right. Anxiety is something that's diagnosed, and so maybe not putting that into your child's mind. It's stress. It's an uncomfortable feeling, but just being mindful of the words that you use. Last, but certainly not least, and most importantly, know that we do what we do because we love children, and we love your children, and we think they're funny, and we come to work every day looking forward to working with them. So just please know that above anything else, we love the kids that we work with, and we love to work with the parents as well. So that is it for us. Hopefully this was helpful to parents, and if anything should come up ever, check the blogs. And if you can't find it there, if you have any kind of questions, please call us. Call any of the teachers, call the office, Mr. Munsey or me, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. So thank you, everyone.